calm down before you stress up the groove. The energy a little different when the blessings accrue. Hey, who you talking to? Just know I ain't no regular.
5, 4, 3.
Good evening and welcome to night number 1 of 2021 for the Stewart 34 Championship Series hosted by the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron. My name is Bradley McLaughlin and I'm joined tonight with Alison Kent. How you doing, Alison?
Happy to be here. Yeah, we're here with the rest of our team. Sam's driving and Suellen is on the camera. So we're out here this evening, back into it. It's the first time we've been here this year.
It's pretty mad, isn't it? It's taken a while, but obviously because of that America's Cup thing that's been going on, and then unfortunately last week's snap lockdown, we're a bit delayed on getting started again for the year. But no, look, the weather's perfect. The breeze is looking nice. It's kind of been like a southwesterly 15 knots with a little build early on, but it looks like it's starting to drop, and it looks like it'll be quite nice champagne conditions.
Yeah, it's the wind has definitely died down from like the 30+ knots we saw earlier today at Bean Rock. Tide is going out. It's making it a little bit difficult on the race committee because the wind is pretty much perpendicular to the harbor right now, so there's not a lot of race course, not a lot of, hopefully these guys can get their kites down pretty quickly after they finish, or else they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty short course tonight, which means there'll probably be some pretty short races. Looks like the race committee are going to try and aim for 3 races tonight. Obviously now we're a bit later in the summer, it's not got as much time with the sunset. So hopefully 3 races tonight, maybe 2. We'll see how thirsty they get. But yeah, no, look, it's going to be pretty good fun. Looks like everyone's kind of starting to head down towards the starting area, so probably not far off of a starting gun at some point soon. It's good to see though. We've got some legends out on the race course. We've got the legend of Scotty Dixon, who I believe is Live Sail Die's biggest Stewart 34 fan, who's finally made it onto the live stream and is on a sailing team. So he's joined on the Psyche tonight with Paul Groom on the helm. And so hopefully they can bring in some solid efforts and give Playboy a run for the money.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just quickly run through these scores to remind everyone where we left off last year. We'll go through the top 3 because that, I think, is where it gets pretty competitive. So sitting in first, and this is on line, not on handicap. So sitting on line, first is Playboy. So they have 18 points. And second is Prince Hal. They have 28 points. That's a pretty big jump, 10 points. And in third place, there's Psyche with 31 points. So only 3 points between second and third. A little bit bigger of a gap between first and second, though. Do you think?
Is
it worth going after Playboy at this
that's
stage?
the thing, isn't it? Look, there's not many races left of the series. At some point, everyone's going to start getting desperate just to hold a spot on the podium. So whether or not the Prince Hal and Psyche go guns blazing and try and take down Playboy this week in the next couple of weeks, or whether or not they just try and put points between themselves and each other, we don't know. But I guess time will tell, and I think it's going to get pretty close. And I'm sure there'll be some sort of crashing at some point because it's the Stewart 34s. So.
I think it's worth mentioning in fourth place is Passion, and they have 34 points. So they're also only 3 points away from a podium. So I'd almost argue that between second and fourth is where it's going to be a bit nail-biting. It seems like, Playboy's just kind of out the gate. You almost wouldn't want to even bother, right? It's
a tough one, isn't it? Because, look, if you look at those top 4 boats, they're all very closely matched. We'll see soon that there's going to be some real tight racing. It's going to be seconds in it. And look, Passion, they've not been quite putting the big scores on the board, but they've definitely been up there all year, and just breathing distance from the other 3 boats. So who knows? Passion might be coming out guns blazing this side of the season. They've had quite a long break over the Christmas break and the America's Cup break, so it'll be quite interesting to see.
Yeah, we just saw Prince Hal in that Blue Stewart just passed by, so they're sitting in second at the moment. So they're obviously checking out their upwind mode. It's pretty breezy. These Stewarts are heavy boats, so there's some massive jibs, Genoas on board. What are the sail ranges here? Why are we seeing such huge sails?
Well, that's the thing with the Stewarts, and we've spoken about it before. The Stewarts generally sail with a big J1 jib up until about 20 to 25 knots of breeze. So you'll see these guys trying to hold these to the max, and I don't know why, because they don't seem to go any faster with the bigger sails. So,
they don't go faster, they just get harder to sail, right?
Sure.
So I think we just heard a race committee on station.
So that should be our 6.
These guys are getting ready for their 5. It looks like race committee is done setting all of the marks. And yeah, we're starting to see some more jibs up.
Yeah, for
People
sure.
are getting ready to go.
The looks like the race committee, they've got the class flag, the bright pink class flag there on the back of the committee boat. So anytime now we'll be looking at a 5-minute gun.
Just looking up the course here, what do you see? I mean, we have Prince Hal here on port, and then is that Psyche there
That is,
on
yeah.
starboard? So it kind of looks like Psyche's a bit lifted up on that right side on starboard there.
Yeah.
There's the
It's
5 minute.
Yeah, so that was our 5-minute. It's just a quick one on the course. It's always quite a tough one in this point of the harbour, because you've got where the Wynyard Quarter and the city starts on the left-hand side of the course, but then you've got it all funneling out of the harbour and through the mast on the right. So it can be very shifty. So you can almost see anything come out of this race course tonight.
I think usually in this wind direction and where the race has set up, sometimes you get that top left coming out of. You know, coming out of the city over there. You know, you get all the way to the top of the course and you can see that little lift. But, you know, arguably you might get the same thing out of funneling out of West Haven in the marina here. So you almost kind of have to roll your dice, you know, play whichever side that you get almost spat out on if you're not in control of your own race.
For sure, it's going to be a big night for fleet management, a big night for clean starts, and with such a short course, it's going to be a lot of boat handling as well. So I think we're definitely going to see a lot of lead changes. I think the results could be quite mixed up. That was the 4-minute gun. So looks like we're getting ready to get some racing in now. We've just got a few boats starting to rack up on the line, having a look, getting their transits. And just one thing to note is that Passion, I think it is, are all the way off down to the pin end of the line. And they've not passed it, so whether or not they're going to try and set up for a pin end start, to me at the moment that looks like we're going to try and do. That or they've got some sort of issue with their setup and they're just trying to get themselves sorted before they start racing. But yeah, no,
I think we might see a lot of people at the boat in this. Just looking at where the line is, and you know, looking at the race course. Well, people love the boat, right? They just love it. It's like a magnet. Everyone comes up to the boat regardless, but especially when it's favored, you know, which I think it's probably favored here. So
I think so.
I think we might see some interesting starting techniques.
And with that outgoing tide as well, you know, look, there's always going to be a bit of a push for the boat. It's going to be quite easy to get yourself a lane on the committee boat, just because as people start racking up there, they're going to be getting sucked out by the tide. So we could see some people trying to shut doors on each other and a little bit of screaming tonight. So you've got 2:45 to the start. So we start seeing a few boats now starting to turn back on their time on distance. So we're seeing Psyche looking like they're going to get ready for their jibe back now. So they look like they're starting to nail their time on distance.
Who is that we see all the way down without a jib up? Is that a Division 2 boat, or do they start at the same time?
Yeah, that's a Division 2. So there'll be no extras. So they start just after the Division A with the Spinnakers. So they'll be getting shouted at to get off the race course and out the way. And they've
out the way.
Is it Playboy and Psyche both sort of getting ready next to each other here? So whether or not Psyche going to be trying to hunt Playboy and start pulling them down the course already, or whether or not they're just both trying to get the same sort of plan on the start line. So we've got just under 2 minutes to go here.
Yeah, it looks like people are coming back to the boat end of the line here. You can see kind of where people are wanting to set up, and like you said before, like fleet management, right?
Exactly.
You need to set up around everybody else. You have to, you're sailing your own race, but you're also dealing with how many boats are on the line tonight.
Yeah, exactly. There's I think there's about 10 boats on the start line tonight. It looks like everybody that's been out all season, they're out. There's no boats missing. So look, I think it's going to get pretty good here, and looks like Prince Hal, Pahi, and Passion are all coming in on this port side. They're going to be looking to tack and find a lane in between all these boats coming in on starboard. So,
yeah, these guys are definitely on their approach.
Yeah,
and these three guys here, they're definitely going to be tacking under and probably leading in, you would think.
For sure, look, we've got a minute coming up. We've got Playboy going for the hook on Psyche down to the right here. And so look, Playboy, looks like Playboy going to go for the windward side of them. Psyche going to set up to lure to them. So right now it's all down to time on distance with these two boats. Prince Hal as well. Prince Hal just setting up behind them here. So there we go. The top four boats are all going for the same sort of plan on the start line tonight.
Oh, you see Sneddy on the bow there. Oh,
yeah, I was just
pretty
about to
bow
say,
down, eh?
There's one thing you don't often see is Tim Snedden on the bow of a boat. So You know, look, he's clearly trying to learn some moves.
Yeah, just
Scotty
remembering that the
Dixon's-
tide is going out as well, so it might look like these guys are setting up high, but
Exactly, there we go. Sneddy's called for racing there. They've got 23 seconds to go. Playboy reckon they're a little bit early. They're flapping the jib just to slow down a bit. But right now, it looks like Psyche have done a real nice job here. If they can just keep their bow forwards on Playboy, they'll be looking sweet.
we've got some guys out here that seem to be getting kind of shot out the back, not where you want to be in the start line.
No, for sure. And, you know, look, to me that looks like Playboy have won that start, and I think it was Psyche's to win, and Psyche just gave it away to them. So not the best start to the night for Psyche, but they're in the top 2 boats off the start line.
You know, they are in clear air, maybe not where they wanted to be, but
Exactly.
you know, in one design racing, you have to keep your air clear. That's a huge part of it. So if you can start maybe not where you wanted to, but with clear air, you're already ahead.
And that's the thing. I think one of the things I've noted from Playboy this whole season is that they've always been very good at getting the weight on the rail early.
Yeah, well, looking at the angle these guys are on, you know, like we were saying earlier, that boat really paid off. There's a big righty. These guys are almost pointing right up the course at the moment. Great VMG.
For sure, yeah. And that's the thing. You look at Pahi; they were late for the start. They were pretty far behind there in the back of the pack. And look at right now, they're going to be crossing the leaders. They're going to be crossing Playboy and crossing Psyche. With Prince Hal, they had a real bad start there. They've taken the tack. They've got a clean lane heading out to the right-hand side.
It's not a bad idea, you know, if you're falling behind right off the start, obviously we're in a right-hand phase. You got to get over there, right? You know.
For sure. I think one thing you'll see though is that 2 of the top boats, Playboy and Psyche, and even Passion even further down to leeward, they're all pushing out to this left-hand side a little harder. So maybe they're hoping for quite a big lefty at some point here, and they're going to be able to come in and that to the mark. There we go. Psyche have gone for the tack.
Big jib to wind in. Let's go.
That's a lot of work to pull that jib in. We got Olivia and Stan on the back
Go,
of
girl,
Psyche.
go!
And I think just as a note with that is that it's International Women's Day today. So
Yes, it is.
I think we'll have a big shout out to all the ladies, first of all on the water racing tonight, but also to the Live Sail Die ladies, both you and Suellen, and of course Georgia back at base. So there's some legends in the Live Sail Die group that keep the place going around, and it's great that they're great ladies in the sport. But
Thanks for that, Bradley.
all good. But Pahi have taken their tack out now. They fell into Playboy quite a bit.
Yeah, you know, looking at these guys that tacked out earlier, down on the right-hand side of the course, they don't look too great. You know, it'll be interesting to see when they come back on starboard how they're looking. Maybe they're going into a righty down there, but
For sure.
you know, looking where Playboy just tacked, he looks, you know, although I might have spoken too soon, they don't seem like they're in great pressure. Looking at this top right coming out of the marina, that looks like that's good puff up there. You'd want to be going towards that.
Definitely, it's just whether or not they can push over to this side and cross the fleet in a little bit of lefty before it all comes back in on the right. But we've got a great shot here of the Pahi. They've got some numbers on the rail tonight. They've taken a page out of Playboy's book. You'll see Playboy, Pahi, a few of the boats here have nailed the hole, getting the crew weight on the rail, getting it out the back of the boat and swinging hard. And unfortunately, there's a few other teams that just haven't quite noticed that. And it definitely makes a huge difference upwind.
Looks like Psyche will, you know, you never know. Once they tack over, you can see there are some righties coming down, but it looks like they lost there. You know, going to that right-hand side, you know, we said might not be a bad idea because we were in the right phase, but looked like it might not have been a great idea.
Yeah, for sure. They're not looking too flash at the moment. They're just crossing Prince Hal at the moment, but they're sort of leading the back pack,
Here they go, rolling into attack on Psyche.
From where Psyche started though, where they set themselves up for the start line, you know, they've not really done too great out of this first beat so far. And you know, look, I think that was all down to they just didn't get their speed build up fast enough. It looks like Sneddy was calling racing and not a lot was getting done at the back of the boat to take them racing. And that meant we saw the Playboy just get the roll over the top of them.
We have a little bit of drama here.
Here we go.
have
We're going to
Prince
start
Hal.
seeing a tussle. We're going to start seeing a tussle here with Prince Hal and Psyche. So these guys are 2 or 3 points separated. And you know, look here, we're going to see here.
Yeah, so basically Prince Hal is to leeward here, right? And Psyche tacked, but it wasn't really a great tack, was it? Their jib got caught, they were slow, they had a hard time winding it in.
It looked like a tough one. You know, look, Psyche have done a real nice job of just climbing off of them here as well, so they're looking pretty sweet. Looks like they're setting up to do attack though. They've got Stan there, other trimmer up to windward, loading up the winch. And unfortunately, Prince Hal have just got to keep sitting in their dirt until they can get a clean lane. But I think looking at the course, Playboy has smoked this beat so far, and their lead is just extending.
You know, I think it's easier to stay ahead when you start ahead. But on top of that, Playboy, they chose the right shifts at the right time. We were talking about maybe that top left paying off, and it did at the end. I mean, you know, look at these guys coming across on port. They're lifted. They're major lifted, and they're coming into more pressure, which will probably be a righty. They'll knock them a little bit, which is what you want going into lay. I mean, you have to pick the shifts when the wind is coming out of this direction.
Yeah, most certainly, Gator. And you know, look, Passion weren't the most flash off the start line either, and they just kind of held in there. They stuck with Playboy. The two of them sailed their own race out to the left-hand side and stayed in their own place. And right now, those two have gained real well. So at the moment, it looks like Playboy are going to be rounding the windward mark in first. And then it's going to be, it looks like a tussle for second with Passion and Pahi. Whether or not Pahi are quite far over lay at the moment, though, I'm not sure.
Yeah, there goes Passion.
There we go.
Well under.
But right here, we're watching Playboy go round. Hopefully, this is going to be a tidy first mark rounding of the new year for these guys, because the camera's on them.
We should rate this 1 out of 10.
For sure.
Let's see how they go.
So there we go.
And hoisting.
Guy Pilkington's called the hoist. There's the mastman going hard.
Pull back, that's good.
Bex Hornell on the bow.
Well, that was pretty good.
I'd give that a pretty good rating.
I think, 9.5 out of 10. I think that hoist could have been a bit faster.
Yeah. I mean, look, the jib's not down yet.
Jib's not down. Let's go, Bex. Pull her down.
The kite does look good.
Nah, that was a great set.
Passion coming round now.
Oh, we got an upset ferry here. Hey, we're racing Stewart's here, ferry.
More important things on our mind tonight. So there we go, Passion around the windward mark.
Oop, these guys
the
are
jib's off on
jibing.
Passion,
They're going to do a jibe set.
Pahi going for the jibe set.
Interesting call. We are seeing some puffs coming out of this top right, so a jibe set might not be that bad of an idea. You have to do something different, right?
Yeah.
You can't beat them if you follow them.
Most certainly. We got Psyche kind of leading the back pack here. They're coming around the windward mark in fourth. And they've got Prince Hal close behind them. It looks like Prince Hal is set up for a jibe set too.
Yeah, Prince Hal's. You see that pole sticking out there. Ooh,
yeah, there we go.
Oh,
so Psyche,
that
was very close to the mark. That was almost a touch, I would say.
I think they did well there. They just pivoted right around. Right after them is Princess.
So there we go. Prince Hal go for the pretty late hoist, but they've gone for the jibe set.
Here comes Prism right behind.
Yeah, so Prism, not the best hoist, a bit of an inside-out kite somehow. But look, it's a pretty close fleet at the first mark of race 1 of the night.
A little bit of a lull up here under the wall and under the city. There's not that much breeze. You'd be looking for the next puff, definitely. Which arguably is out on this course, right? Like Prince Hal's going right to it at the moment.
Yeah, most certainly. I think Prince Hal are going to be making a real nice gain on Psyche and Passion here by doing that early jibe set.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look over here to our right, you can see Psyche. They're slow. They're not in pressure, and they've got the fleet coming up behind them. Prince Hal, who we're looking at right now, they did a jibe set. It wasn't the quickest set, but I think it set them up really nice for the next puff. And if, looking behind, you can see this next puff is probably 30 away. It's on the side of the course.
Yeah, most
They're
certainly.
making mad gains here. They are making mad gains. They're doing well. It was definitely worth the slow hoist.
For sure. That's the trouble, Look, these Stewart 34s, it's not easy for the bowmen on these boats. They've got huge kites, huge poles, no guardrails if you slip over. And also, there's not a lot of space for the amount of sail area you've got on the boat.
Yeah, look at they're stoked. Let's go.
They're pretty happy about that one.
Yeah, they should be. That was epic.
Oh, damn right. That
also,
was pretty tidy.
I'm loving the color coordination here. Look at, you got the yellow trim there, and you have the blue and yellow kite. I mean, that is top notch. To sail good, you have to look good.
Most certainly. Are you calling best looking boat for the night now?
I'm tempted. Listen, we won't jump to conclusions, but I'm pretty tempted. I also like how they're color coordinated. Look at the blue. Their shirts are blue.
Alison, we'll just look up ahead. Looks like Playboy have gone round the leeward mark there. Not the best drop.
Oh.
The jib's flapping. The kite's not all the way down.
They're a boat length at least to leeward of that mark.
Their drop wasn't quite as good as their hoist, unfortunately.
Yeah, what would we rate that? I mean, ooh. 3 out of 10?
No, I think
Is
it's
that
safe
too
to say.
ruthless?
I think it's safe to say that Guy Pilkington's not going to be too happy with that one.
Yeah, I was just about to say a little commentary here from the camera person. I can imagine the words coming out of his mouth right now, and they're not savoury.
Yeah, there we go. Look, Pilks is standing up. He does not look
no.
happy.
What is going on?
He looks like he's ready to do some barking. There he is. He's barking.
Maybe
Guy
sheets.
Pilkington is not a happy skipper right now.
What's wrong? Sheets are wrong. We're close up.
We've
Pressure's
got halyards
on.
unclipped. We've got sheets in the way.
Oh, you hear him.
The
You can hear
jib's
him
not
from here.
on. Pilks is barking.
Oh, I know. Let's see.
It's all Playboys to
We've
lose
got jib
right
sheets
now.
around the shrouds.
Has Guy Pilkington let the pressure get to him too early, Gator?
Pressure. There we go, though. They're back in it.
There we go.
It looks like one of their jib sheets is around the shroud. That is
does.
impressive.
And
That's awesome.
It is hard in these boats because you'll see as well they've got 3 different stays holding up the rig on each side. So it's there's a lot of stays in the way for all your ropes. And
Ooh,
it's
starboard,
unfortunately
port
looked like he got the
starboard
better
here.
of them.
We have Prince
We had
Hal
port starboard on
ducking.
Prince Hal.
Big
Ooh.
puff on as well.
You know, look.
And we can see Prince Hal had a major comeback. They're sitting in 3rd right now. You know, that jibe set at the top really...
Pretty solid effort by them, it's
yeah.
safe to say.
Absolutely.
But I think biggest thing to notice is that Pahi has currently got the lead. And Pahi are looking sharp.
Looking sharp.
Now as we go
Look
up
at
the
these
course,
guys
we've got
on
Prism that
Prism.
has just gone round the mark. Looks like their bow team are just trying to
Better
tidy
watch
up
that
now.
kite, though. That kite looks like it might go in the piss there.
The kite's not
That's
the
slow.
way. Yeah, they've got a bit
I
on
don't know
there.
a lot, but I know that's slow.
No weight on the rail. That's a tough one, you know. It's breezy right now. The breeze has definitely picked up in this last 5-10 minutes. And,
Yeah, Prism's kind of stuck there. They, you know, with a pole on, there's not a lot of room for. There's no options really. You just got to keep going on. You can't tack with a pole like that.
For sure, and unfortunately that just means that Passion are going to get stuck to load of them until they're ready to go as well.
Passion could use some jib halyard tension through the next tack. What do you think?
I think you're right there. And
Pretty saggy.
I mean, hopefully, knowing Passion, they're pretty good yachties. Hopefully they'll take that on and take your words of wisdom, Gator.
Yeah, I'm sending them my mental vibes. I think I made eye contact, so hopefully they can read my mind.
Yeah. So
They're
there we
doing
go.
well though, you know. Same with Prism. Is opening gauge all the time. They look like they're hanging on. They're doing well. They're going to what they think is the favorite side of the course.
They're doing better than I thought they were going to do. That's for sure. They've held their lane. Passion haven't been able to climb into them. If anything, Passion have taken a bit of a low fast angle, and right now they're leading out to the right hand side. But look, as we go around there.
Yeah, let's tune in. What's happening up here in the front of the fleet?
So we've got Pahi still safely ahead.
Sending it.
They're going well here. It looks like they're going to try and do a little slam dunk on Playboy just to protect
Wouldn't
their
ya?
lead. They've just got to stay between Playboy and the windward mark here. They've got one more mark rounding to go until they have to sail down to the finish.
Well, you know what they say. All you have to do is keep yourself between the competition and the top mark or bottom mark or wherever you're going. It's as easy as that, right? That's all you got to do.
Exactly, and I think one thing to note is that the top 3 boats in the series have all come out to this left-hand side, and I think whether or not they're either magnets and they're all stuck together, or whether or not they all think the same thing, and that the left paid in that last beat. Hopefully, it's going to pay again.
Do you think we'll see some jibe sets up here?
Yeah, I think we could. I think we could see some more jibe sets.
I just
up
think
here.
it's a bit quiet. You can see where the second division is gone.
It's a bit iffy up in there,
yeah,
isn't it?
it's just unstable. And I think right at that wharf, you know, you can see there's a huge lull. You do not want to get stuck under there. That is slow moving.
Yeah, most certainly. And you know, look, right now, Playboy are going to be thinking what they're going to do next, because they're stuck in Pahi's dirt at the moment. And they're not looking too good there. But, you know, look, I guess Pilks' tactic here, I guess, is just to stay as close as they can.
Pie here with a big knock here, big righties funneling down.
Well, there we go.
That's what
Playboy
you would
going for an
expect.
attack here.
Playboy attacking in it. But I don't know, not on late, big call. They're going to have to come back on port. I don't
look,
know about
as
that.
you can see, they are not
Oh.
fast boats to tack.
I think we might see a little change here.
Prince Hal come out of nowhere.
Oh, they're not crossing, but they have made some gains.
It's going to be a
for
close
days.
one. Would you tack or would you duck?
Oh, they're getting
I mean, they're
lifted.
looking like they're gonna cross
oh,
right
they're
now.
going to cross. Oh, this is
That is,
exciting.
that's
they're
not a
clear
good thing
ahead.
to see.
They are clear ahead. Ooh.
So there you go. Prince Hal coming out the blocks firing here.
They are having an awesome race.
No, they're looking pretty sharp. Prince Hal generally always a locked-in team. You know, look, the last couple of seasons, they've generally either won the season or they've been in the top 2. And those guys have been sailing together for quite a few years now. They all know how each other work. Again, they've all got weight on the rail. They're hiking out. Same with Playboy. So I think it's going to be all to play for tonight between Prince Hal and Playboy. But at the moment, it looks like Pahi have made another nice gain here. Still in the lead, coming into the ley line for the top of the course for the second windward mark rounding.
It looks like Playboy over on the left-hand side of the course is falling out of pressure and into a knock. So we'll see how it looks when they come back across on port. But Prince Hal here that we're looking at now, tacking on ley line. Nice pressure coming up. I don't know, it looks good for them. Doesn't look so good for Playboy. You can see they just tacked over there. And they are slow, they're pretty upright.
Unfortunately for Playboy, they didn't have a lot of options there with being in Pahi's dirt. You know, it was, do they try and live where they were all the way out to this side with Pahi? And Prince Hal would have definitely got around them, or did they take another hit out to the left, clear their air, and hope that some sort of lucky lefty was going to come for them? I mean, we're going to find out in the next couple seconds, and we see Playboys come around the bow here.
Oh,
right now, they're looking all right. It's pretty close. There could be a pretty good port starboard here for Prince Hal and Playboy. It looks like there we go, Playboy take the dip there. So Prince Hal have overtaken Playboy on this second beat. And it looks like they're setting up for a jibe set there.
It also looks like Prince Hal might be struggling to get to this ley.
For sure.
Just because we have to remember that the tide is going out. So these ley lines are further away than you think.
For sure. And it looks like
Prince
Hal have touched the mark. Prince
drama.
Hal have touched the mark, so they've got to do a turn. Pilks definitely made sure they knew about it, that's for sure. Right? They hit the mark.
They certainly did.
Here we go. Pilks jibes.
Jibe set.
Bit of shouting off of Playboy at the moment. A little bit of stress on board after that bottom mark rounding. But right now...
Interesting to see Prince Hal doing their spins right here when Prism's coming around.
Here we go. Prism coming around.
Here we go.
They're setting up for the jibe set as well. Psyche after Prism. So Psyche have taken a bit of a loss there as well. Not the best upwind for Psyche.
It's really just lightning off all over the board here.
It is, isn't it? And you know, look, I think that jibe set's a good call for everybody here. And Parky had a nice set there, and they've slowly creeped ahead. And looking at Prism at the moment, it doesn't look like the most flashiest hoist from those guys.
Oh, wine glass. Oh, here we go. Yeah, what kind of wine do you think they're drinking?
Yeah. Cheeky rosés. Is it warm enough for that?
Ooh, I don't think it's warm enough for a rosé.
No, I reckon a nice Pinot.
A Pinot?
Oh, cheeky.
I could go for a Syrah.
There we go.
Central Otago.
I guess we know what we're going to be drinking in the bar this evening.
I don't have a budget really to be picky. I'll just take whatever's going.
Yeah. And we've got Psyche here have gone for some sort of windward hoist. Not sure what way it's going to go up or come down. Not sure whether they're hoisting or dropping right now either. But at the moment, Scotty Dixon is on the bow as well. You know, look, you don't see many legends in yachting on the bow of a boat here, and Scotty Dixon's one of them. So, you know, kudos to that guy, carrying the team.
I mean, even though they did, I'm not sure what just happened. They're having a major. They're trying to run over their kite. But they just gained Prism. You know, that jibe set was...
They're going pretty well.
That's a cut.
There we go. That's a cut. Unfortunately, it's a live one, so everyone at home is going to be seeing it. So, but look, we're not going to name and shame Scotty Dixon or Tim Snedden. Oh, sorry. But you know, look, it looks like they've got a little bit on there trying to get sorted.
You know,
but at the moment, the breeze has gone so far around to the right, they are almost just laying through on a jib anyway.
Yeah, they don't actually look that bad.
They look quite sharp.
Here comes Prince Hal again after doing their circles from hitting that top mark.
There we go.
They're bringing some puff down with them as well.
It didn't look like Prince Hal took a bit of time to work out what they were doing with that turn. It's good to see they finally got themselves sorted out and got the kite up and ripping downwind. And they are just clawing back places left, right and centre at the moment. They've just rolled Passion. They're just about to roll Prism. And at this rate, if Psyche don't get that kite sorted, they're going to roll Psyche as well.
You know what I think it is, Bradders? I think it's the color coordination.
It is, isn't it?
I mean, if you look at Psyche, their yellows are all wrong. They don't match.
There's a lot of different yellows going on there, isn't it?
There's a lot of different yellows going on. There's going to be more grays going on if they don't sort that out. It looks a bit stressful.
Most certainly. I think Sneddy especially, he's looking pretty stressed at the moment. Luckily, he's a pretty big, pretty tall fella, so he's reaching up to the kite, and I'm not sure what he's trying to sort out about it, but he's definitely doing something with it.
They've got a big wine glass in there. I wonder what's on board their boat tonight.
And look, at what point do you start taking bets on whether or not this kite is actually going to be hoisted by the time they finish this race?
Or do you just drop the kite, sheet the jib on, and just push these guys?
Go for a cheeky little heat up.
Yeah, why not? This is One Design Stewart racing, right? This is. They would do that in the America's Cup, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not match racing, but.
Yeah, I mean, in the America's Cup, I'm sure they will. But you know, I think they've got the least of their worries is heading up and taking out Prince Hal at the moment. So.
Yeah, well, Prince Hal is doing a great job. Should we go check out the guys at the finish, see how they're going?
For sure. I think this would be quite a good one to follow down with it as well, because Prism and Prince Hal are both neck and neck at the moment. It's going to be a pretty tight one. We just stay on Prince Hal's hip here. We'll almost see the finish on the line. It looks to me like Prince Hal have got themselves in there at the moment. And Prism just unfortunately just a little bit too low, a little bit in everybody else's dirt, and they're just trying to have to pull through it. But there we go, look.
Little puff on there for Prince Hal, bringing it down, soaks to the line.
So
beautiful.
You know, look, Prince Hal in that last downwind went from 0 to hero pretty quick there, and they were behind this whole batch coming through the finish line now. They've hoisted, they went through it all, but as we look further up, it looks like Pahi took the win of the first race of the night for the Stewart 34 Championship Series, and you know, look, they're looking sharp tonight. So.
Yeah, so Pahi, how do you pronounce it, Bradders?
Pahi
with the win, and then Playboy right behind them. So, you know, Playboy was definitely struggling there for a second on that second upwind, but they came good.
Test, test, test. 1, 2, test, test.
Right up along Pahi right now. Nice work, guys. Awesome.
So there we go, Pahi look like they're pretty happy. What was the magic for that one, guys? So there we go, Pahi's winning tactics was that Playboy just kept making mistakes. So they're pretty happy.
That's slow.
I think it's safe to say with these Stewart 34s is that you've got to come out the blocks and you've got to be clean on the race course. And Pahi did a real good job of that, of just doing their own thing, staying out of trouble and staying ahead as well. So there we go, look, Playboy having a little regroup. Bex is having a little lie down on the bow. They're having a bit of banter with Pahi, so it looks like it's all quite light-hearted still. But yeah, look, I think that was a pretty exciting way to open up the this side of the series for 2021, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, the starts are only going to get better. I think a lot of people held back on that start, and there was a lot of room. But obviously, you don't have to win the start. You know, Psyche had a decent start. Look what happened to them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that was quite a big surprise to me, was that Psyche, and I think they had the time on distance all down pretty well until that final 10 seconds. And they just let Playboy hook up onto the right-hand side of them and charge over the top of them. And then unfortunately they took the tack and went out to the right-hand side, which unfortunately wasn't favoured. And it was a big loss for them there. But you're right, you know, look, Playboy probably had the start of the race in that one, probably won that one for me. But I think Pahi did a real good job, as we said, of just staying clean, staying out of trouble, and letting everybody around them make the mistakes.
Well, you know, in One Design racing, you just can't make mistakes, right? Like, you can see Playboy had a horrible bottom mark, and they dropped 2 places just by that one rounding. I mean, they made it up, which is why they're in first place. But it's just little things like that, you know. At the same time, I think we need to give Prince Hal a huge shout out. They did their circles when they hit the top mark, and they still came back and rolled Psyche and Prism coming into the finish. Yeah,
for sure. And I think that's definitely one of the things you'll see with those guys, is just the amount of time they've sailed with each other. They know what they've got to get done. They know how to sail this boat really well. And you know, look, as we saw, they pulled it out the bag and rolled 4 boats on that last downwind. So they're still in the fight. They're still in the hunt. And there was only 1 point between them and Playboy on the scorecard on that race. So it's still all to play for, I guess.
Yeah, interesting to see that Psyche was obviously having a hard day at the office on that race. I'm sure they're having a big debrief about what happened. They just gave up there. Sheets off. This isn't going to work for us.
Yeah, it looked like a tough one. You know, look, Tim Snedden was, he unfortunately was pushed onto the bow tonight for Scotty Dixon to take the main sheet by the looks of things. So, you know, kudos to him for jumping up there and and going at it, because they're not easy boats to do bow on. And you know, look, unfortunately, I think you just got a bit unlucky with that, and kite goes up with a twist, and you can't get it out, and then everybody sails around you, and unfortunately, you're the one that looks silly. So, but you know, look, they're still in it though. They're still been up in the fleet. If they can iron out their small mistakes like that, then I think they'll definitely be one to play for tonight.
Yeah, we'll just have a look at the wind and see if the wind. Well, we're still waiting on the second division to finish here, but you know, that right is really pumping in at the moment. I wonder if they're going to change the course at all.
For sure.
Hey, what happened there, guys?
Tom Pilkington and Beck's having a cuddle on the bow there. Whose fault was that? There we go. So, yeah. I know. They got Tom Pilkington giving the old boys at the back a little bit of grief by the looks of things. And
Did we just get lip from a 12-year-old?
yeah, I think we did. I think we just got a bit of lip from a 12-year-old. So, but you know, what else do you expect with the son of Guy Pilkington? You know, it's, when we saw that race and they had that bad mark rounding, there was definitely some barking and screaming going on from the back of that boat, and a lot of it was coming from that man's mouth.
Someone tighten me up, please.
So poor old Beck said was having to deal with that as well.
Yeah, that was. There's always going to be a bit of drama around the bottom mark when things don't go your way.
Yeah, for sure. And look, we're just waiting for Division 2 to finish now. They're just coming down on that last run of the race, and hopefully we'll be getting back into racing shortly for race 2 of the night. But you know, look, as Alison said, looking up the course, that breeze is looking really shifty. You know, look, it looks like it's pulled round to the left a little bit there, Alison. And I think all these guys are going to be looking up the course while they're waiting for these other guys to finish, and starting to decide and make a plan of what they want to do on this next start and this next first beat.
Yeah, you can really see the how much the tide is just absolutely ripping out. Like, these guys are coming up on a reach to the finish line. Just looking at them, you know, straight on, you can see how much they're getting pulled out of the harbor with that tide. I mean, there they go. They got the gun.
Come in. Precedent take the line for the first race of the night for the non-Spinnaker division. Looking pretty sharp. Flyer coming in second. But yeah, look, it looks like the breeze has stabled out quite nicely here. It's not quite as windy as it was on that last downwind.
Should we go over just quickly those race results and what we think we can expect from this next race? It looks like they're already moving the pin up.
It does, yeah. So the pin's being moved already. Looks like a slightly longer line, but unfortunately, unless that pin's got a bit more bias, everyone's still going to be bunching up on the committee boat. And so it'll be quite interesting to see there how far they move it up and whether or not it spreads the fleet out a little bit more. But yeah, so I guess the race committee are aiming to get that a little bit more square for everybody to have a decent start. So that looks like the last of the non-Spinnaker division coming through the finish line now. So I guess anytime soon we'll be seeing the pink flag go up on the committee boat in front of us for race 2 of the series of the night. Sure.
So in that first race, we had Pahi took the bullet. Then we had Playboy in second. And was it Prince Hal in third?
Yeah.
So no real surprises. I mean, Pahi, you know, obviously out the door from the start. But I think the other two, you know, it's not surprising to see Playboy up there.
For sure. And, you know, look, they're always going to be a strong team. And I think one of the things we've seen with them is that they're, especially those and Prince Hal, are real good at getting the weight on their own and hiking. One thing you've noticed from Psyche tonight, there are a few people short. They have only got 2 people set on the rail, which isn't going to help them on their upwind boat speed, that's for sure. And unfortunately, that's one of the biggest places where the gains are made on these boats.
Yeah, hopefully the wind dies down for them a bit, and that's not so much of a factor. They can more focus on tactics, but you know, it does come down to the basics, really.
Exactly. So that was race 11 of the series, we've just been told. So we'll be standing by for race 12. I'm glad we got told, because I had no idea how far in this series we are. There's been so many races, and it was so long ago since we've been out. So it's the series that just keeps on giving.
The most competitive, one of the most competitive one design fleets in Auckland. In the world. In the world.
How many other One Design fleets have a live stream for their Monday night sprint racing gator?
That's right.
There's not many of them, that's for sure.
It's hard to compete.
But look, it is great racing to watch, and it looks like we're going to be getting underway pretty soon. So the orange flag has gone up. They've still got the blue flag up, so I guess they're not sure if not they're a finish boat or a start boat yet, but I'm sure that will come down soon. And I think we'll start to see some jibs going up, and people starting to have a look at the start line and having a look at this next upwind as well. But,
look at these gates at the moment. I wonder if they'll change those. Those seem a bit out of whack.
You're right there. Yeah, I mean, you can see they're still moving the pin end around down at the bottom of the course here. I mean, at the moment it's been moved further down the track, so it'll be interesting to see what they're doing there. I think they are just trying to restream it and get it back up the course. And that's the trouble with these real strong tides, is it's so hard to get your course laid and get your anchors to grip here. We're in a real small part of the harbour where the tide funnels through here pretty fast. So it's not the easiest job for the poor mark layers tonight to get this race course fair and square.
Yeah, major props to the race committee and the squadron, because they race almost every day of the week. So that means that they need race committees out here every single day of the week. And that is hard work. And you can't please everybody. You just can't. Race committee is such a, unforgiving. So they do a really good job. They'll be out here tomorrow night for the ladies and the Etchells and do it all over again then.
For sure, that's the thing. And a lot of people don't realise how much goes into running these sort of races. And look, you've got five or six people on the race committee boat. Not a single one of them is being paid tonight. So these guys are here for the love of the sport and to make sure that we all get to watch some good racing. And it's generally 9 times out of 10 the same group of people most nights.
Yeah.
So I think a big shout out to those guys, because they do an excellent job down here. And but look, someone's got to do it, unfortunately. And as you said, not everybody's ever happy with it, but we can't complain too much. But it looks like they are trying to get things started here for the next race. The class flag is in the hands. The race officer is just looking down the end of the line, relaying the pin here, which we are almost in line with, making it hard for him, but that's what we do. We've got Pahi having a look up the course here.
See if they can do it all over again, race 2.
For sure, they look pretty happy there. It looks like they were pretty locked in that race, and hopefully this is the start of the new, a good start to the new year for Pahi, and they're going to have another good couple of races tonight, because it's great to see them at the top of the course and mixing it in with those other 3 boats that have been sailing up the top all season. But yeah, look, it's looks like everyone's just trying to wait up on around that boat end, just so they can get their watches counted in and ready to go again. But
well, while we wait for them to get settled, do you guys want to hear a joke?
Go on then.
All right. What is the world's most groundbreaking invention?
Go on.
A shovel. Do you get it?
That's terrible.
Because you break the ground with it? Do you get it?
Alison Kent, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. I take tips in wine, and I'll be here all night. There's more where that came from.
That was pretty bad. Was that a Tim Kent special?
No, thank you, my joke. Well, maybe.
So
anyways, let's focus up here, you guys.
Yeah. Back to what we're out here for.
Not my jokes?
Definitely not your jokes.
All right, well, I'm on here then.
It looks like we're getting ready now for the 5-minute for race 12 of the Stewart 34 Championship Series, hosted by the great Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, home of the America's Cup, which is another thing that's going on this week.
Is it?
I believe.
I thought it was just Stewart's.
Yeah, no, apparently there's an event almost as big as Stewart 34 Monday Night Racing, but who knows? It's some America's Cup thing, and there's some Italian group that have come down to sail against a bunch of Kiwi guys. That's all I know, really.
Oh, are those those boats? That fly around?
Yeah, something like that. They're obviously not quite as fast as the Stewart 34s.
Obviously.
And look, it's been obvious that the America's Cup challengers have all been watching the Stewart 34s race, because you start to see a lot of their tactics mimicked on their race course. So it's quite good. But look, it looks like they're finally getting ready for this 5-minute. There we go. 5 minutes until race 12 of the series. And the countdown's on the screen. Bougie. There we go. So Playboy going for their jib up. Prism getting their jib up. And here we go. It's going to be a good one. Still pretty similar on as far as the breeze direction and strength goes, Alison. It's kind of pulsing through every few minutes with a bit of fresh breeze. But again, not knowing whether or not it's going to come out the right or the left until you're into it seems to be the trend at the moment.
I think you really have to have eyes out of the boat. You have to have someone looking for that next puff all the time, because it just goes, it's just flicking. It's flicking from the right, it's flicking to the left. And we saw that in the first race, you know, Playboy went out to that left side and they got that nice lift. But then, you know, you bring that over to the right side, you get that big knock and you flop on it right on lay. So it's really just, that's four then.
That was a pretty loud four.
It's really just about playing those shifts, I guess, you know, staying in phase. You can't get out of phase in this wind direction.
Exactly. And, you know, same as the last race, just keep your air clean, keep out the way, and do your own race. And as Pahi proved, it worked for them pretty well, and they got us a bullet on the scorecards. But it sounds like we're going to be trying to head down to the pin end for the start of this race, so we're going to try and get a different view for you guys watching at home in the warmth of your own house with a nice cup of tea, I hope.
Where are you guys watching from? We can't see comments at the moment because we're trying a new setup out here on the race course. So if we're not answering your questions, that's why. But we'll come back to them. Don't worry. But yeah, where are you watching from? Are you here in Auckland? Are you across the world? I mean, are you in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, asking for a friend? Best place in the States.
I guess we'll find out how many different devices Scotty Dixon normally has running on a Monday night, because we'll probably see a difference in the views coming from Long Beach. But hopefully our friends over in Long Beach are still watching and watching the legend of Scotty Dixon out on the water, cutting some shapes on the bow that time round in that start. So it's good to see him out. But yeah, look, it's awesome to have you guys watching, and hopefully we can bring you some more good footage for this next race. It looks like the boats up on the far side there is Playboy and Psyche, just kind of again setting up next to each other to do their own thing, and probably the same plan again for their start, with Prince Hal following in just down here to leeward on port.
I wonder if they'll go in, you know, come in late on that port tack and then tack before, you know, the rest of the fleet. For sure.
And you know, look, it's not a bad option. Just being in that little train down to leeward of the start line. You can choose your time on distance back. You can pick your tack. And you just come in, hook up to in beneath somebody in their gap, and be able to push to the line in a nice, clean way. You want us to? So we're going to try and be the most fluent.
So we're just
off of the start. So we'll just follow these guys in just to leeward and try and get into the action. Try and hear what's going on board the boats, hear what they're saying, and try and hear some of their plans as well for this beat.
Here we go. We can see some of these guys are starting their approach back already right on top of each other, which is a bit surprising because this start line is massive. Why do you need to be so close? You just don't.
It's a tough one, isn't it? You know, look, the start line's so long, but it's so boat biased with this current as well, is that if you're starting down on that pin end, you just end up so far down the course so early on. There we go, that was 1 minute, there we go. 1 minute until the start of race 12. Pretty much everybody is on starboard now, everyone's picking their time on distance. Playboy have gone for a little hook there on Passion. Prism down below Playboy. Prince Hal are going to be throwing themselves in the mix as well, so this could get quite fruity quite fast. We can see there Bex Hornell on the bow of Playboy cooling down the line. They're in a real nice spot there, Gator, just slowly clicking forwards.
Yeah, they're in big control as well. They can control all the boats to windward, push on it a little bit, get some speed, bring it back up, pinch them out again.
And this is the one they just got to make sure they're clear ahead of Prism here so they can just do their own thing. There we go, 16 seconds to go here. 14. So Playboy are a little bit early here.
Oh, a bit of drama here. These guys aren't totally sure where the pin is.
And there we go. That was the start of race 12 of the Stewart 34 Championship Series. Once again, Playboy off to a lovely start. Looks like Prince Hal hooked up onto the right of them in a real nice spot there. So it looks like it's going to be a drag race between those two boats here.
Yeah, not surprising that boat was busy again. You know, you can see Psyche, maybe not the best start, but they were at the boat. They were probably one of the last boats off the line, but they were where they wanted to be. So we'll see if that works out for them.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how Parteri and Prism, that are these two most lured boats, come out of this beat, because you know, look, that pin end's quite a long way down with the current. There's quite a lot extra ground to sail there for them. And you know, look, if you're too early and you start putting your bow down along the line, you're going to lose so much ground so fast, which is what they've just done. It already looks like Playboy and Prince Hal are having a bit of a tussle. Playboy just went for a bit of a luff. Not really sure what they were planning for there, because it's lost them a lot of boat speed. But Prince Hal just done a lovely job there of just staying high, staying fast, and just punching over the top of them.
Yeah, and it's worth noting as well that you know, they've moved that top mark over to the right quite a bit. You know, before almost where we are now was where the top mark is. Now it's almost, you know, but almost all the way to the Squadron. So it looks like Prince Hal is doing circles. So
here we go. They're liking doing their turns tonight, aren't they?
You know, it's good to practice those just in case you need to do them.
For sure. But you know, look, Playboy once again doing a lovely job here of owning this race and owning this beat. They're just coming into us now. A real nice bit of pressure just come down the course there, with flat water as well. There we go, Bexor now giving it the big swings.
See if we can...
Tom Pilkington as well.
See if we can get a dab out of Bex. I thought dabs died in 2016. I guess I'm wrong.
Bexor now keeping the dab alive. There we go, Playboy setting up for the tack.
Should we rate their tack out of 10?
I mean, so far, I mean, that was a pretty solid one to me, Gator.
That was slick.
That was pretty good, wasn't it?
That was slick.
That was almost tack of the night for me so far. And we got Passion just coming down here. They're leading out to this left-hand side as well. They're hoping for something out here. Not sure if they're going to find anything though. I think there's one thing Playboy have done well is they've sailed the shifts on this course really well tonight. Here we go, Parteri go for their tack. Not quite as nice a tack, unfortunately. These guys have unfortunately they've got the guardrails on the boat, which, you know, on other boats is quite nice and safe, but on these things with the guardrails just makes it so much harder to do anything on the boat, because there's just not a lot of space to do things.
Looks like Passion setting up.
Yeah, so there we go. Passion are about to go for the tack on Parteri's hip.
Little lefty right here coming out of
there is
coming out of this viaduct area.
Right now, it looks like Parteri have done a real nice job here, and it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, with the windward mark so much further over to the right, how they're going to do out of it. You know, if the windward mark was where it was in the last race, I think they'd be looking pretty sweet right now. They've got a lot more extra ground to sail on port at the moment.
Yeah, pushing tide as well. It's going to be hard to get all the way back to the right side of the course. But,
yeah,
you know, looking down to leeward here, these guys don't seem like they're in that much breeze. You know, look at where Psyche is. Not a good, I mean, unless they get some righty, that would be sweet.
Yeah, you're right. And just as you were saying that, it looks like Prince Hal just got a little bit of the start of a right-hand shift there, and the lighter stuff. So, you know, look, I think as it dies off, it sort of just pulls around to the right a little bit. They've just sort of hold on to a nice little lane there. They are just slowly creeping up onto Parteti's line here. So they're doing a real solid job, just doing their own thing again and taking the height when they can. But you know, once again tonight we've got another shake-up. You know, Parteti are normally a boat that unfortunately are generally a little bit further down the fleet on the scorecards. But tonight again, they're another boat that's jumped up into this top end of the fleet and giving Prince Hal and Playboy and Psyche and Passion a good run for their money. And you know, look, right now they look like a pretty locked-in boat.
It'll be interesting to see if this pressure up here at the top mark, you know, that's going to be a righty. That's going to be a big knock if you're coming across on port tack here, on port lay. It's gonna, you know, it's gonna get messy if these boats coming in on port get a massive knock, as the boats coming in on starboard get a lift. I mean, that's when it gets all scrambled up. You know, that's when things get you have to be on your toes.
Yeah, exactly. And look, and whether or not Playboy hook into that righty or not, there's going to be another thing, because if they can stay lifted, they're going to close the gauge up real close with Prince Hal. And right now they're looking all right here. So there we go. They go for the tack. They look like they're pretty happy with their ley line gator.
Yeah, and they're in that righty already. So Prince Hal here, first of all, they're not in that puff yet. You can see that puff's just up to windward of them. They're not in the puff. Playboy's in the puff. They think that they're on lay as well. So, if you're Prince Hal here, you're going to be doing everything you can to get this lee bow on Playboy right now.
Exactly. This is going to be the make or break of who leads around this top
There
mark
we go.
right here.
Crossing in front, tacking on top.
Slam dunk on top. And now it's going to be whether or not Parterri can squeeze in here on this windward mark.
Ooh, Playboy's not on lay here.
That was a big lefty out of nowhere, wasn't it?
Big lefty, and also that tide will get you every time.
For sure.
Oh.
Look at that. Parterri have come into the windward mark, leading this race. I think this might be the first race of the year that they have led, the first race of this season that they have led round the first mark. So it's a good shot to those guys, and hopefully they can keep this lead, because right now they're just extending because nobody else has laid this mark.
So what? Probably a lefty, because Parterri came from the left, and with the tide. So is the course left going to pay off downwind, or are we going to get these righties again from all those jibe sets before?
You're right. It's going to be interesting to see here. And right now it looks like the Playboy are going for a jibe set.
I would. Look at this puff we're sitting in right here. It's coming out of the top right. I don't know. I think I'd be jibe setting. There's nothing under there. It's just not confident.
For sure. And now Prince Hal have got to be trying to get that jibe in now before Passion get their kite set and just soak away down inside them. But
it doesn't look like anyone was looking behind on Prince Hal. They were all looking in front or up at the sail. So you got to be looking back when you're going downwind.
Yeah, most certainly. The only thing to notice though, look, Parterri are looking, it's looking pretty funky further down the course as well. I mean, there we go, Prince Hal have finally gone for that jibe. But look, being on that starboard jibe wasn't as much of a loss as it looked like in that last race. But at the moment, it's definitely safe to say that port jibe is becoming the longer jibe every time.
We're following Passion here. Looks like they're setting up for a jibe.
So we go. There's the one of the biggest issues on these boats is that you've got the sheet and the brace on the spinnaker, which can be a bowman's dream, but it can also be the bowman's nightmare. Oh no! So there we go. Passion have lost a kite sheet. I'm not sure whether the knot came undone or whether or not it was a clip, but that's going to be a big loss for them.
Yeah, that sheet came right off. So like Bradley was just saying, they jibed, they connected their pole to their brace. That came off, so they just saved it by connecting their pole to their sheet, which is, a good alternative, but still probably, maybe double check those knots when you time on your kites, right?
Exactly, and this is one of the hard things about just having a sheet now, is that the bow team there are fighting the trimmers at the back of the boat, trying to get that pole on whilst heated up, whereas at least with the brace they can just clip the pole on. Once they've given the mate, they can trim on that brace. But it looks like they're doing a solid job of recovering from it.
Yep.
A lot of crash jibe there as well.
So if you
really
look,
shifty.
If you look behind Passion just then, there's a huge lefty coming down the course. So, that's going to change people's strategies as they turn around this bottom mark.
Yeah,
here
exactly.
he goes. Prince Hal's seeing that lefty as well. I'm not sure if they planned that or if that was a surprise jibe.
But by the way, their kite is still, their pole is still on port. I'm guessing that was a bit of a surprise jibe for them. But look, they're still doing a pretty good job of flying it. They're going for a jib up here. This could be quite interesting with the pole out on that port hand side. I think the bow team have got a little bit of work on to get this kite down in a tidy manner. But one thing I think we should note is that Playboy, coming down that other side, coming down that course right, have taken the second place off of Prince Hal, and they are just breathing down Parterri's backs.
It's going to be interesting. This left pressure has come in, and it has come in strong. It's a completely different wind than we were just sailing in. So, oh no, what's happening here?
And
did they hit?
That was close.
Oh.
That was very close for Playboy to hit the mark there.
So we have Parterri first around the bottom mark, Playboy second around the bottom mark, and Prince Hal third around the bottom mark, and brand new left-hand pressure.
Here we go, and that left-hand pressure is coming strong as well, Gator.
I love the comms coming from Playboy. They are panicking. I don't know why. They're doing fine.
There was a lot of panic in Tom's poor Tom's voice there. I think what I heard there was that that Pilks wanted to know whether or not they hit the mark, and Tom didn't reckon they did so they've carried on. It looks like Passion have had a little bit on that bottom mark again with their spinnaker, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. But they are now out of this race, really. They've got a lot of work to do to get back into it. But right now, Playboy are currently just on a charge. They are going for they're closing up on Parteri very, very fast here. Parteri are going to have the pressure put on them by these guys, and hopefully for the sake of the results, to have a change in scenery, they can hold them off.
Yeah, it looks like you know, that left-hand pressure has died down. That puff probably only lasted about a minute. So we're back into the pressure we were sailing the last upwind in.
For sure, it was very short-lived.
I wonder if they'll crumple under the pressure of the camera.
That's the biggest worry. But you know, look, these guys are looking sharp tonight. Pilks is locked in. Hiking, 4 guys hiking hard on the rail. These guys at the back, they're doing a solid job here. And right now they're just keeping themselves in front of Prince Hal once again, hoping that they can just slowly come into Parteri and that they're going to make a mistake. A big gust hit the Playboy there out of nowhere.
Yeah, so at the moment, Playboy is just going to the pressure. Right in front of them, they're going to some top left pressure, which is not surprising because at the moment it's the only puff on the course.
Yeah.
So I think you'll probably start to see them knocking here, and then they'll probably flop over and consolidate with.
Most certainly.
Yeah, and they've done well here. If you look over to the guys on the right-hand side of the course, Playboy and Prince Hal, to leeward of them, are in the best pressure on the course.
They're looking pretty good. One thing I noticed from Playboy as well is, unfortunately the viewers probably can't hear it, but one of their trimmers at the back is just always giving the communication on the 2 boats around them, how they're going. Are they high? Are they fast? Do they need to put the bow down and punch forwards a little bit? And that just means that Pilk's steering doesn't have to look around and take his eye off of his woolies, and he can just focus fully on the steering here. And it definitely looks like it's helped them.
Yeah, at the moment they're higher on the same board as Parteri over on the right-hand side of the course. So, you know, it didn't really knock them as much as I thought it would. I thought this pressure would maybe knock them, maybe be more of a lefty, but it just wasn't. So
yeah,
we'll see what it looks like when they tack.
Definitely, and I think you know, look, Parteri have got a little bit of work to stay in this race with Prince Hal and Playboy now. It looks to me like Prince Hal have just tacked in quite a big righty there.
And not a lot of pressure.
And
oh,
not
here
a lot
they
of pressure.
Yeah, here they come. Pressure's back on.
Yeah. There we go. Quite a lot of water coming out of the back of Prince Hal's boats. I'm not sure whether or not they're sinking or or what, but there was quite a lot coming out of the scupper. There we go. Another solid team that we're going to follow into the windward mark here. Once again, you'll see these guys looking locked in. Crew weight on the rail.
Oh, even their main sheet is blue. See, this color coordination is out of this world.
That's pretty impressive, really, isn't it? It's good. It's good that somebody's taken style. You know, they're looking good here.
So these guys up here have made really big gains on Parteri, who stayed on the right-hand side of the course and actually tacked underneath them, which is maybe they're just cutting their losses at this point, getting over to that starboard ley line sooner, and maybe trying to get them on the starboard lay.
I think you're right there, and one thing to see as well on up the course is that Playboy are currently reaching into the top marks. There's clearly a big left pressure, big lefty come down the course here, which has meant they just tacked and it's straight into being overlaid. But there's big gains to them on Parteri, and unfortunately Parteri have lost the lead now to Playboy. And now I've sort of see whether or not Prince Hal can get around them as well and take home second in this race.
Yeah, Prince Hal is just riding this puff in on the port ley line, and no one else really has it at the moment. It was kind of a personal puff there for a while.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, isn't it? It's always quite funky, as we said earlier, coming off of the city shoreline, and you got a lot of buildings, a lot of ferries and silos in the way, messing with it breeze. So it literally does come out of anywhere, and in a way, it keeps the racing nice and close for us to watch. The one thing to see here is that Psyche are back up in the this top 4 boats in the fleet. So that's the thing with Psyche. They seem to always be there, you know, they're that boat that are just always in that top group no matter what happens, and I'm not sure how they do it, but somehow they're always there, and somehow they are always in that top group and fighting for that top 3 position. You'll see here Playboy tacking onto the mark here.
Definitely no jibe sets on this one.
For sure, looks like they're going to be going for it. I mean, they're set up for a jibe set.
Oh,
Whether or not they go for the jibe set or the windward hoist. And there we go, jibe set there from Playboy.
I don't know, that kind of surprised me when they're coming in on that lefty.
Yeah, I guess the only thing you see though, here we go on the
Oh,
camera there,
boy.
Parteri hitting the mark. I don't think anybody else saw that except for us. But the skipper definitely knew he did it because he told us to be quiet.
Awesome.
There we go, no, Prince Howe did see it, Prince Howe had a go. But I think as you look down the course here, Gator, with that tide so strong, that jibe set is still really good. Like, Playboy are pretty much laying to the finish right now.
No, you're right. Sometimes growing up sailing on a lake, I forget about the tides. It still gets me. I've been here a while, sailing in the tides for a while now, and they still get me. They, you know, there's just so much to think about sometimes. I
For
forget
sure.
that we're sailing in a river.
I think one thing to keep an eye out here is what happens between Psyche and Parteri as well. You know, just in one leg, Parteri have gone from leading around the bottom mark to now being in 3rd place with a penalty, and Psyche hoisting their kite right behind them. But coming further down the course here, just following Prince Howe down. That breeze, it looks like it's going more right again, doesn't it?
It is really all over the place at the moment. I mean, we can just remember the last downwind. It just was pumping from the left all of a sudden. You know, it's just, this is probably my least favorite wind direction to do, you know, match race or Elliott 7 regattas, because it is so unpredictable. You can think that you're on the right track, and boom.
Exactly, it makes it very stressful to watch and to do for us. But you know, look, clearly once again, Playboy and Prince Howe have shown that they are the 2 kings on the block, and they have come out ahead on this final run into the finish for race 12 of the series. But no, look, we're closely following Prince Howe down to the finish line here. A few close-ups, can almost hear what they're talking about, which is awesome. But no, look, they're looking pretty sharp. Poles back and east. One thing I think to
they're looking
notice.
at, you know, you can hear them talking about the different shifts. And at the
Exactly.
moment, there's 2. There's one coming down the right, and there's one coming down the left. And
Which
it is
one
just
do you choose?
It's tough. The right has always seemed to be more consistent, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, look, for a minute there, I thought Psyche coming down behind were going to looking pretty sharp with that random lefty again, but they've just jibed. They're still in right pressure down to leeward and behind. So I think it's safe to say that Prince Howe and Playboy can just sail their own race here, sail the boats fast into the finish, and just keep themselves clean.
You know, we could see Prince Howe adjusting to the mode that they were going for. It lightened up a lot. They're easing their backstay off. They're easing everything off. Downwind mode.
Exactly. Now, just as we come down here, this is coming down to the finish to see Playboy take race 2 of the night. There we go. Playboy take the gun for race 2 of the night, race 12 of the series, and a pretty convincing lead there from those guys. So it's safe to say they have got their act together, sorted out their boat handling, and they are looking pretty sharp in that race.
Yeah, just in time for this big righty to come down. Just like we were saying, it always fills in. Here
There we
comes
go.
Prince Howe for the number 2. This is, you know, we're seeing the same boats in the top here.
We are, and I mean, good to see Psyche coming down. They got around Parteri, unfortunately, but solid effort for those guys. They take 3rd place on this race, but I think it's still safe to say a solid effort here by Parteri. They come down taking 4th place of the series, and a pretty convincing 4th place as well. There's quite a big fleet split behind these guys.
Yeah, and you know, to hang on to that top crowd it's pretty impressive because those guys obviously are pretty quick, and they're pretty good at picking those shifts on the upwind. So even just to stick with them is what you want.
Exactly. But no, look, coming down the track behind them, it looks like Pahi coming down behind them, Prism following that, and I guess I think that's Princess behind them. So
and then that would be Passion still in it.
And Passion still racing. You know, look, it's a tough one for Passion. They clearly had a few issues on that first downwind with their brace sheet coming off, and then something went on there. I'm not sure what it was at the bottom mark, but you know, look, good on them for getting it sorted and trying to get back into the race. But unfortunately, with the courses in this area, this short, it's so hard to finally claw it back.
These are race 1 winners crossing the line in 5th.
And Prism coming down here in 6th.
In 6th.
Can't even talk anymore. Language barrier.
I do like their color coordination too. That's a nice blue.
It is, isn't it?
It's a nice blue. I would like to see like a retro, you know, rainbow though. You know, if your boat's name
You've
is
almost
Prism.
got it there. But look at this, Princess coming down the track here. They're looking solid right now. Awesome view of them with the sky tower behind them. Bringing a lovely bit of pressure down the course with them. Final little pole back there, a little down there.
Yeah, just what you were saying before about the jibe sets at the top. You know, if you don't jibe set and you go for too long, you know, look at how low you can get with this tide. I mean, you're going pull forward, and these are big, deep symmetricals. They don't like to reach. That's not what you want. So to have to go pull forward like these guys on Passion, look at how fast they're slipping sideways. You have that big kite down to leeward. You're trying to come up. I mean, you're just struggling.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's so hard. And, you know, look, any more righty, they're almost going to struggle to lay this with this breeze as well. And you know, that's hard. And unfortunately for these boats, they're not like your planing boats where if you overlay and you know, you can heat it up and send it in on the plane. You know, these things, if you overlay, you're putting it on its side and you've got a lot on. And you know, unfortunately, they just look like they'd gone a little bit too far out on starboard off that top mark, left the jibe a little too late, and just they even made a lot of losses there on that final downwind, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I think the next low is at 10. Is that right? So 10 o'clock. So this tide is ripping out. It's going to be ripping out for a while still. And it's a huge factor. You know, you have these shifts from this wind direction, but you just cannot forget about the tide, you know. Like I did, that top mark. I would have forgotten about it. I would have been down there trying to come back. We don't have tides in the lake.
Yeah, most certainly. The tide is in full swing right now. And I think by the looks of things, the race committee are going to be keeping us out for a 3rd race of the evening before it gets dark. Obviously, like we said earlier, as it's a bit later in the summer now, we're unfortunately pushing for a 3rd race instead of a 4th race in the series. So makes it a little bit harder to get the whole series underway, but I'm sure the race committee are going to get this one underway pretty soon, and we'll be in before we know it and before it gets dark.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? I mean, it's a beautiful night.
Oh, exactly. It's beautiful sailing conditions at the end of the day. The rain's held off, which has been nice, although it does look like it is coming down the track. But we'll see. But there we go. So I think let's start off. What were our highlights of that race there, Gator?
Ooh, highlights of the race. Oh, I think I always enjoy the peak and the yelling. Sometimes it's funny looking in. You know, when you're heading the boat and things aren't going your way, it's the end of the world. And you know, you're stopping around and you're yelling, but you know, looking at hindsight is always 20/20. But it's always exciting for me to hear what people get rocked up about.
Yeah, most certainly. I think for me it was really good to see Parteri having a solid race there. Like, unfortunately, they didn't keep the win. They didn't keep hold of the lead, but they were in with a shot of it the whole way around there. Unfortunately, a few small tactical errors up the beat, but look, their boat handling looked pretty sharp. They were looking pretty good. Obviously, hit the top mark on that final downwind, which cost them a lot of space, but they still held on pretty nicely to those top 3 boats. So it was good to see there, and obviously with Psyche coming down and taking a 3rd as well, was also nice to see that they're still in contention here.
I thought that's just the gun for the second division. So that's the first boat for the second division. We're just going to wait for them to finish before we start again. I also thought that start was pretty competitive. It was way more competitive than the first start we saw. You know, people were lining up a lot sooner. We saw Playboy pushing other boats around. You know, and they're pushing them around at like over a minute to go. I mean, they were hungry for it, and that's pretty cool.
For sure, and I think, you know, look, it was quite close for Playboy. They weren't far off of being too early for the line there, so they had quite a lot of work to do to burn that time. And you know, compared to Parteri, one of the things I noticed is that they did a real good job of burning high and slow instead of losing that ground down the line. So, but I think one of the things that sold it for Parteri was that they were one of the only boats with clear air off the start line, and they could just do their own thing, push out to the left, and sail their own race. I guess just like Pahi in the last race.
Yeah, there's a theme here. I think in this stuff, you know, you pile up. It's kind of, you know, with any one design, you pile up, you get dirty air, and it's almost impossible to get out of it. So, if you look at Parteri, they were the furthest down the line towards the pin. They were the last boat. They were the furthest left. They were a bit confused on where the pin was. They weren't totally sure on their approach. They were kind of going like this, but they still, you know, they had a clear start because they let the rest of the fleet just pile up. So, you know, again, is it where you wanted to be? Maybe not, but you had clear air, so you can go fast.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little bit of breathing space, and it makes a whole lot of difference. You know, like I said to you on the way out to the race course tonight, you know, a lot of the time with these Stewarts is that you'll generally see one boat punch out ahead, sail their own race, stay out the way and do their thing, I guess like Parteri and Pahi have done. But then you'll see the rest of the fleet falling around behind, fooling around with each other and just slowly dragging each other back in the fleet, which has been quite interesting because normally it's been Playboy that push out, do their own thing, do their own race, and everyone else fool around. But tonight, in a way, it's been Playboy doing the fooling around and giving the guys like Pahi and Parteri a chance to get up into that top 3 or top 4 and have a shot at the racing tonight.
Yeah, well, they've been out for blood. They've been pushing each other around, and it's good. It brings out the competitiveness. I think a lot of these guys haven't been out for a while, so they're hungry for it. And also, that's why people are making mistakes, because they're pushing so hard. You don't hit top marks. That's silly. You know, you shouldn't be doing that. But with the tide ripping out, it's really close. The port starboard's coming in with these huge shifts. You know, it's tough. You have to try. You have to get in there. Why are you so close to me?
No, I think you're right though, and it is safe to say, you know, look, for us people that are watching and being those sofa sailors and the backseat tacticians, I guess, yeah. It's easy for us to say, oh my God, why are they hitting the marks? Why are they doing this? But you know, such a short course, hitting marks is, you know, these boats are a handful even when it gets to 12, 15 knots of breeze. So when the puff is in, they're loaded up. There's a lot going on board, and so hitting marks is probably the least of their worries a lot of the time. But you know, look, it's good to see. It keeps it close for us to watch, and you know, look, I'm excited to see what happens in this third race, and maybe there's going to be another shake-up on the race course.
I hope so. I love those little surprises. You know, sometimes it's better to be lucky than it is to be good.
Exactly. Yeah. But you know, look, I think we'll be getting pretty close into a starting sequence soon. The orange flag is back up. The lady on the back of the starting boat is ready to put the pink flag back up for a 5-minute. So I guess any time from now we'll be getting into sequence, and hopefully before any of this rain comes down to get us.
I can't get rained on. I'm made of sugar, so I'll melt.
You spin a good yarn. So there we go. That was 5 minutes for race 13 of the Stewart 34 Championship Series.
Lucky 13.
I've been getting it tonight as well. No, look, it's going to be a good one. Probably the last race of the night as it gets dark. But just as we've started the sequence, that breeze has started to pump back down the track again. Starting to see a few white caps up the course as well.
The direction is pretty stable, though. This is kind of the righty that the race committee moved the course over to. So at least that's promising for now.
Yeah.
For now.
I'm sure it'll change by the time the race starts, Skater.
Yeah, there'll be a huge lefty right at the start, and then it'll shift back to right.
Exactly.
Just to throw a spanner in the works.
For sure. But look, we've got Psyche are just started. They've just pulled their jib up. You got Big Sneddy on the bow. He's probably going to try and get his transit just on the start line while they go past it here. and things will be getting into the swing. So that was 4 minutes. Oh yeah, I just pressed the stop button instead of the sync button. How we going, Paul? Here we go, the mighty Psyche, Paul Groom and Co. His right-hand man Stan on trim with Olivia. And there's another father-son team on board out on the racecourse tonight with Paul and his son Ethan. So it's good to see that the sailing's staying in a few families here, and they're not having too many family arguments and family disagreements. But look, it's going to be interesting. I'd love to see Psyche come out the blocks firing in this race, but I guess time will tell. And, you know, like we've said earlier, they've struggled upwind tonight just with the lack of weight on the rail.
I think with this pressure, you know, boat's still a little bit favored, but it's not as favored as it has been. So maybe people will spread out. I mean, this line is huge. There's room for everyone to have a clear start.
Exactly. You know, look, if everybody has a clear lane off of it, it definitely makes it a bit easier for everybody to have a chance at being in that top group at the top mark. But you know, look, it's going to be interesting. Like you said, that line is so long. And I thought last time that by starting all the way down that line, you're going to be struggling to get anywhere up the beat. But as we saw, Parteri did a real nice job of just keeping themselves clean and setting their own race.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, right, we're out here to win, so you have to be competitive and start on the correct side of the line. But,
exactly.
You know, right now, look at this breeze. I mean, so it was just coming in from the right.
Need help. Can you hold that? Keep going, Bradley.
Where do you want to start? So, yeah, the breeze is coming in. It sort of comes in from the right again every now and again, but right now it's looking pretty left phase on the committee boat. But as usual, I'm sure by the time we get to a race start, it's going to pull back round to the right again. I think a lot of this is down to the big cloud that's just passed over the city centre there, though. Just pulled the whole breeze around to the left. As soon as that passes, I think it'll even up again, and it'll be a pretty even race course. Where do you want to start, Scott?
I don't really care.
Yeah, we'll start at the boat end. So we'll watch the start from the boat end for this race, race 13 of the series. And you know, look, everybody's starting to finally rack up again here. Playboy and Prince Allah already having a tussle. Playboy have gone for a hook. I'm not surprised, you know, look, Guy Pilkington used to coach the youth training program for about 10 years, so that man loves a match race. So I'm sure he'll put a match race in wherever he can on this race course.
It's going to be interesting. The wind at the moment it's super right on the light on the right and filling in on the left, but who knows what it's going to be doing in about a minute's time.
Exactly. You know, look, Pahi there, their bowman's calling that they're a little bit too early, but I wouldn't say they're far off of racing here. And whether or not Pahi and Passion can do some work to keep Playboy and Princess out off this boat end here, it'd be quite interesting to see. Right now, Playboy are doing a great job here. Passion have been doing a great job here of defending that boat end. It's just whether or not they can squeeze in there inside Pahi.
It's looking like Playboy set up a bit too high. They're having to come down and kind of find a hole for themselves.
Exactly, and there could be some barging in here. Look, Princess are on their final approach. We got 15 seconds to go before the start. Passion were too early. They've had to tack out. Prince Hal, I'd say Prince Hal looking pretty solid here if they can get the boat rumbling. But I think it's safe to say Playboy have won this start once again. So there we go, Playboy lead off the line, winning the boat ends. I'm not going to lie, Gator, I didn't think they had it for a minute there. I thought they were cooked.
I thought they were going to be second row there. Man, there was a lot of yelling at that line. That was an exciting start. I'm not even sure what all the yelling was about, but there was a lot of it.
If anything, it sounded like Guy Pilkington slowly losing his voice tonight, Gator. I heard him wheeze a little bit there, and I was oof, that's not like Guy Pilkington.
The office is going to be quiet tomorrow.
Exactly, but you know, look, Psyche didn't have the best start there. They've had to lead the tack out to the right, so it's going to be interesting to see how they come back. You know, look, would they almost be looking to just do a short tack out, clear some air, and come back and starboard and head out to this left-hand side with the rest of the fleet? Or are they just hoping for some sort of lucky right-hand shift to come down and magically jump them up to the front? But right now, Pahi, Playboy and Princess are looking pretty solid at the moment.
Yeah, we start to see everyone flopping over onto port tack, going to that right-hand side, kind of crossing the course down here, maybe to clear their air because the pressure seems to be top left.
It is, and you know, one thing to note again is that Parteri, which led around the top mark on that last, the first top mark on that last race, have kind of gone for that same strategy, leading out to the left-hand side and hoping that that lefty comes back in and takes them in again. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. You know, look, Pahi and Princess are also in a real solid spot here. And if Pahi can just sit up to windward of Playboy and just keep moving forwards on them, they're going to be looking pretty sharp here by the time the windward mark comes around.
They're looking pretty good here. You can see them, they're just pumping on some backstay with that new pressure coming down, flat sails. Look at all those legs out. I mean, they've got so much weight out. That is what you want to see. And if they can just keep their gauge with Playboy, who's just in front of them to leeward, they'll be fine. They're not hurting at the moment, but if they fall down anymore, they're going to.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, isn't it? And you know, look, they've almost got to hold on a little bit just to try and get some gauge back to the right-hand side of this course, because they've not got a lot left on this left-hand side. But at some point, of course, they can't live there for too long and they'll have to take a hitch out. But right now, Playboy have done a lovely job of just hooking up, climbing into a high mode and just punching forwards and up on them. So right now, I'd say Playboy are looking at a pretty solid spot right now.
Yeah, Playboy has an awesome high mode here. I mean, they're just slowly closing gauge the whole time on Pahi here, and they're opening gauge to all the boats to leeward. So they're in a really powerful position, because if they also get this righty, they're going to be the first ones to get it.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, we'll see coming out of this right-hand side, Prince Hal have led the tack back over to the left. I think it's safe to say Playboy are quite easily across them at the moment. Psyche are still pushing out hard to that right-hand side, looking for that righty. But I just don't think they're going to find anything, unfortunately.
I don't know. It is hard to say. I don't see that coming either. You know, it seems like Playboy have stayed in the pressure the whole time, but you never know. They could, you know, Psyche could get that magical righty that comes pumping out of the Squadron.
Exactly, and I guess that is one of the cool things about this race course, is that if you are at the back, where it's so shifty, it is still all to play for. You just have to be a little bit ballsier than everybody else and try and do something a bit more crazy.
So Prince Hal here, who we're following, just made Pahi tack on the starboard beneath them. So Prince Hal in a powerful position as well. You know, it's hard to sail a good race when somebody else is determining it. So for Pahi, maybe they didn't want to go then, but they didn't really have a choice. It's either dip or tack, and they chose attack.
Exactly, and this big fleet, it's the whole fleet management thing is so important. And I think Prince Howard generally do come out on top when it comes to the fleet management and close racing with a couple of other boats. They're always really good at putting themselves where they want to be, deciding what side of the other boats they want to go, and coming out ahead. But I think, you know, looking back down this course, Parteri have unfortunately not had quite the same beat as what they were probably hoping for, like the last race. But so they're going to be following the fleet in on port here. Pahi and Prince Hal come in on this almost on the port lay line. And with any lefty gator, it's going to be on the port lay line.
Yeah, pretty good tack out of them as well.
Pretty tidy, eh? You know, it'd be one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to is seeing how well Psyche have done out of this beat, because you can just see them coming in on starboard. They're definitely not ahead of Playboy, but it looks like they're crossing Prism. And right now, I'd say they're easily crossing Prince Hal, so they could be in the top two coming around this top mark after a pretty terrible start.
That magic righty coming good for them.
Exactly.
You never know. You never know.
You know, look, maybe that's down to, you know, look, these boats are so slow to tack, so because they've only had to do 1 or 2 tacks, they've just been able to keep the boat speed, play a little bit more of the shift, and keep out. But the other boats down here, they've done a few tacks now, and that slows you down. And then once again, you've got to worry about all the other boats on the course being bounced around by each other. So Psyche, I think, have done a real solid job of finding that righty, and I'd almost say playing the Jesus card on that one.
Maybe they know something that we don't. Yeah. They've got the pros on board, so yeah. Who are we to talk?
But look, we're just following Playboy into the windward mark here for the first mark rounding of race 13 of the series. Playboy lead around with a very convincing lead.
And of course they're going for that jibe set like we were talking about before, you have to do it for the tide.
Exactly.
And apparently this magic righty that's coming down the course, so it's a win-win. Here comes Psyche around, and
So Psyche don't go for the jibe set. They're going for a for just a straight hoist. There's the hoist. You know, I'm not sure what's going on here. You know, look, I'm pretty sure their bowman is bigger than their mastman, and their mastman's going ham on that kite and getting it up, and the bowman's just watching. But you know, look, whatever floats their boat. But,
here comes Prince Hal, third around the top mark.
Prince Hal.
There's that puff.
That's a real nice bit of puff coming down the course in this hoist.
Here comes the rest of the fleet. We have some straight sets, we have some jibe sets, but yeah, this is some great
And we got
pressure
a
here at
bit
the
of close
top mark.
quarters here.
Oh,
There we go. There is a crash between Passion and Pahi. It looked like Pahi wanted to go for a jibe set. Passion wanted to go for a straight set, and they both collided. We got a port starboard now with Pahi and Princess. Are Pahi going to infringe 2 boats in 1 mark rounding? Right now, it looks like they might.
I didn't really see what happened there, but it looked like Pahi had slowed down so much, and Passion came in, but they're overtaking boats, so you know you can't just run into someone. But
It's
is
a
it
tough
port
one.
starboard?
Exactly, it's such a tough one, you know. Look, Passion looked like they wanted to go for some sort of straight set and carry on. Pahi looked like they wanted to go for a jibe set and just didn't look where they were going and just jibed into Passion's water.
There's
Is what I saw anyway.
There's Stefano on the bow of Pahi, not looking too happy. Stefano's a sail designer at Doyle, and I don't know, it doesn't look like a happy camper on the bow tonight.
He didn't look too happy about that, that's for sure. Here we go, Pahi a little bit slow to get their kite up.
Not Pahi.
Passion a little bit slow to get their kite up. Pahi just finishing their turns behind us. Here we go, there comes the hoist from Passion.
There you go. They're on the right jibe as well. You know, they'll get set. A little bit of puff behind them. Jibe on lay to those bottom marks.
Exactly, and I think their mastman's going to be pretty stoked that he's only got 1 more hoist to do tonight, because that hoist looked like he was struggling a little bit there.
Oh yeah, he's a bit winded. Easy to say when we're just sitting here talking about it.
Yeah. But you know, looking further down the course here, Playboy are leading around the bottom mark. Psyche and Prince Hal have closed up the lead a little bit. It's definitely gotten closer between the 3 of them, but right now the lead around the bottom mark here is to Playboy.
Psyche with an early drop on their kite.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised to see, but you know, look, these boats carry so much momentum in this sort of breeze, so you know, you almost want to have the early drop and be able to get around that mark clean and out of trouble, rather than have to have your 2 guys on the bow trying to pull the kite down while you're trying to go up winds.
So it's interesting that these guys are turning right around this bottom gate. You know, with tide, you know, wouldn't you want to be turning left into the tide and then, you know, just getting that extra little bump up to windward and not have the tide just drag you down right away? I mean, either that or they're really loving that left side.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that, isn't it? You know, look, watching them go around that left turn has made me have a look around to see what the current is actually doing, and it looks like it's already starting to slacken off here on the committee boat and on the marks. So you know, look, maybe they've just taken into the fact that there's a little bit less current now. It's starting to turn, and they're going to take that left-hand side and just try and play the shift a little bit more. But right up in front of us, looks like, is that Pahi? Pahi have just had a bit of a broach out there. Looks like they just got caught off guard with a jibe, and a bit of a surprise jibe for them. They're trying to get themselves sorted here.
Hard to control as well. They don't have a pole on, so their kite's kind of just doing whatever it wants. Maybe a little bit of a shift as well caught them off guard. They're just not having a flash downwind at the moment.
Yeah, they're having a bit on there, and you know, they've got the leeward kite sheet is stuck around the top of the boom, so they've got a bit of work there to get it off the side of the boom. It's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do, but you know, right now there's no jib going up. They're almost sailing past the marks, and it looks like they are not going to be having the tidiest rounding. So there we go, no jib went up there. Coming back up the course, Psyche and Playboy just punched out in front of the fleet. Playboy is going to be so hard to take that lead off them now. They are looking like solid on ley line on the port side, followed in by Psyche. great to see Psyche have got themselves into a good mode on these upwinds. There we go, there's Stan pumping the backstay down. Stan the man. Big Sneddy taking a swing. And a beautiful sunset here as well, behind those stormy skies.
Hike her down, Sned. Hike her down. Sheets in the piss. Come on, tidy it up, boys.
Here we go. Ethan's tidying up the brace sheet there.
Good efforts. Good efforts.
Tidy boat's a happy boat. And these guys are looking great on this beat. And it's going to be interesting to see how those guys down that far right-hand side are going, though. Prince Howe and Prism look pretty solid. Whether or not the Psyche has just missed out on this left-hand side pressure, I'm not sure. But I mean, Playboy have just punched out so far on this now. It's going to be so hard to get ahead of them now.
I would have thought there would have been more hiking, you know, with the camera right in front of them.
Yeah, I'm surprised they gave it.
Out.
You know, look, you know, Sneddy's he's a pretty big fella, and if he just put his shoulders out, that they definitely wouldn't have their keel out the water, that's for sure. But, you know, look, he's
get on the pie program.
Maybe he's just on holiday and having a good time, but you know, look, I'm not sure how he feels about being kicked off of the main sheet by the one and only Scotty Dixon, but I'm sure there'd be a little bit of a slightly sour bowman there, that's for sure. I mean, look, how often do you see a main trimmer go to become a bowman within a week, you know?
Oh, just happy to be here, surely.
Oh, I mean, look, to be able to sail with the legend of Scotty Dixon, you know, he's a very fortunate lad, and I'm sure he'll remember this day in sailing for a very long time. And I hope that he's got some questions to ask Scotty, because this man knows these boats so well.
It'll be interesting to see if this right-hand shift that did Psyche so well, it's going to pay off for these guys that have gone right again. Because Psyche's strategy on the second upwind is completely opposite than it was.
Yeah,
before.
exactly. And you know, look, they've just looked like they've struggled on that second upwind to those guys that have pushed out right. And I think Playboy had just enough lead that they could lead around that bottom mark to the right turn, get the last of the left pressure, and take it over to this side of the course. Whereas to me, it just looks like Psyche have just missed out on it all, and that's quite a big loss there to me.
Playboy is just walking away.
Oh, exactly. You know, look, they've owned this course and this race. Solid start there by Pilks. Like I said, I thought he was going to be a little bit cooked on that pre-start. Spat out pretty early, but you know, look, he managed to get the jibe in, find himself a new lane that he made as much of it as he could, and look, he's sailed away with it from there.
Just coming up onto lay here, let's rate this tack.
Yeah, here we go.
Today on Rate This Tack, we have
pressure.
Playboy.
Oh, I mean, look,
I've seen better from them.
It's so hard when that jib gets caught on one of those stays. And the whole thing just ends up in a bag of rubbish up on the bow, and you've got nothing to fall into. But,
it is a big jib to wind in, that's
exactly.
for sure.
But here goes their hoist.
Straight set?
Yeah. Straight set here. You know, look, these guys have got a nice enough lead that they can straight set, they can cool their jibe, they can just sail their own race into the finish right now. We'll watch them sail away from us here while we watch the Prince Howe, Prism and Psyche come into this top mark. We'll notice that Prince Howe has taken second place off of Psyche, and potentially even Prism if they are on leyline.
Well, you know, like you were saying, Brad, the tide's not that strong anymore. So Psyche, as we saw before, if they had tacked there an hour ago, they wouldn't lay. But now they'll be just fine. But you know, that right-hand pressure, it comes through. It's been coming through tonight.
Sure, and as we look up here, there is a little bit of right-hand pressure just holding off on the breakwater. Whether or not that comes down with these guys, or whether or not their Princess and Passion bring it down with them, I'm not sure. But I think a lot of people are going to be watching out for it, and I think there could be some good gains for the back of the pack here with some pressure coming down the course.
So that is, we have Playboy was well in front first rounding, and then we have Princess just here rounding.
There's the mighty Bill Faulkner in the pit, a legend of the Stewart 34 class. He seems to be out here every single week. For as long as I've known this class, that man's been doing it. So, but oh no, we've got a Halyard come down. Halyard not cleated off. Not the best set for the Princess, unfortunately.
But a great save, just making sure they don't run over that kite, because kite with holes in it is a slow kite. They've done really well there. That was a great save. There is nothing worse than running over a kite.
Yeah,
Not
solid
fast.
effort to save that one. And then unfortunately, once again, Passion not in the best place tonight. Not sure what's going on with Passion. They're normally up in that top 4 or 5, and these last 2 races seem to have been a real struggle for those guys. So whether or not they've had a few crew changes, some new crew, core guys missing, I'm not sure, but whatever it is, they're definitely hurting from it. Here we go, you got the bowman tidying up here on Princess. So stand by to jibe. So these guys are going to be preparing for a jibe here. See the size of these poles for the size of the boat. It is a 2-man job to jibe these poles. They are huge.
Not a lot of pressure here, so you know, the whole fleet's just kind of winding down.
Exactly. So there you go, poles made, poles coming back, mains coming over. Pretty nice jibe there. Very nice jibe there from the Princess.
Textbook jibe there.
Look, as we come down the course here, Psyche have taken a jibe onto port as well. Not the best jibe from them as far as the kite trim goes, but it looks like they're going to try and take a jump on Prince Howe and try and get the roll on this long jibe into the finish. Nice little match racing move there, but look, I mean, Playboy are just miles ahead in this race. Solid effort to those guys.
So Playboy have gotten a 2-1-1 tonight, so pretty convincing.
Pretty solid night, and you know that's going to extend their point series lead by a few more points, and so they'll be pretty happy with that. Yeah, I'm sure Guy will be happy to see that, because there are a few points where Pilks looked a little bit worried about the boat handling.
Yeah, no wonder they're 10 points ahead in the series.
Exactly, yeah.
Nice work, guys.
Solid effort.
handing the helm off.
Hey. The spring in his step.
There you go. Oh. Oh.
So how was your night tonight, Pilks?
Oh, I think we blew a bit of rust off in race 1 with a bottom mark, bit of a rain fade on the bow, and yeah, anyway, they managed to sort it out, and we tacked, and we sort of came back with a second, so pretty happy with a monumental cock up at the bottom mark, but come back to a second, so you've got to be pretty happy with that, you know.
For sure, it sounded like young Tom was almost making a lot of the calls tonight by the sounds of things on board.
Young Tom, he always talks, isn't he, you know? So anyway, that's what he does.
You can't hear yourself think all the time, but look, I think it's a pretty solid night to start the year off with, and I'm sure you'll be happy to come back out next week and try and do the same thing.
Oh, the guys did a really good job. You know, I'm pretty lucky. I got a good bunch of guys and girls on the boat, and they make me look good. You know, my job is to listen to the tactician and come off the line in the lane, so he can tell me where we need to be. And I think I did that tonight. So that's what my job is. And if I can let the guys do what they need to do, then it makes it a lot easier, you know. So I was pretty happy.
For sure. And any secret changes you've made over this long break? You know, time in the shed, as they call it in the America's Cup. So any big mods, or just back out and firing on the same old boat you had before?
I revarnished the tiller and gave it a bit of a paint, and then I went for a dive this morning and scrubbed the barnacles off the bottom of the keel, and that was about it, really.
It must be the varnish.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cheers, Bill.
All the gear and no idea, you know.
Take you home.
Yeah, we dropped him off, yeah.
Had a look, all right?
So there we go, that was Guy Pilkington, the skipper of Playboy. It sounds like they had a great night on board. A few cobwebs to shake off, but you know, look, solid work to those guys, because a 2-1-1 or 1-2-1-2, whatever it was.
2-1-1.
2-1-1 on the scorecard, and just extends their lead even further into the series. And you know, getting into the business end of this series now, they're going to be pretty happy with that. So
the crew making it as hard as possible for him to jump back on. 10 out of 10, Grace.
So we're going to head down back down the course now and look for Scotty Dixon, I think, and get a few words of wisdom from him and his take on the night as well.
So he's on Psyche, and where did they finish in that first race? Maybe a third or a fourth, right?
Third or fourth.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They've been in the mix all night. You know, look, Like I said, they always seem to be in that mix. There always seems to be one random mistake, whether it's tactically or boat handling, and it does seem to just cost them that one extra place to get them up into that second or first place on the scoreboard.
Yeah, one design racing. You gotta love it. All right.
Here we go, coming up alongside the Psyche.
Scotty.
Try to get his attention.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't want to talk to the skipper and owner tonight. We want to hear from the legend of Scotty Dixon. How are we going, Stan?
Nice
Good to see you.
Okay.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi Suellen, you don't call, you don't write. Hey Bradley. How are you, mate?
So that was an awesome night for you guys. Tough first race though, but you're on the main sheet. You kicked Snetty off. He's on the bow. How did that go?
Oh, is that where I was?
What were you doing on the boat tonight?
A little bit of everything, I think. We were maybe a little bit short of crew, but I think it's my first Monday night race in probably a number of years, so I was just trying to fit in with the team with what they normally do, but I think with the shutdowns and things that maybe the team wasn't as polished as, there were no normal positions, I guess. So yeah, no, we had a lot of fun, and I'm sure you saw on camera some of our low lights, but no, we're just happy to be in the mix, and yeah, it's good.
Did you share all of your Stewart knowledge with the crew?
I tried. We've got a great team, and really, I've said this a million times about this harbour. It's just so random, so changeable, a lot of current, and you have to very much sail with your head up. And you go from being in the lead to now you're in fourth, and I mean the shifts coming over the southern hills here are just quite dramatic, and I will say a little bit random, and you can't always see them coming. So yeah, we just we really just tried to sail clean lanes, and like I said, if we were kind of in the mix, then that was good, and if we picked up a shift here and there, that was a bonus. But yeah.
Yeah, on that last race, we saw you guys just taking a flyer to the right, and we were thinking they're either just going for it or they see something. They're either just putting all their eggs in this basket, not really knowing, or they know that righty's going to fill in. And it did. It filled in. And
yeah, just not quite enough, but we knew coming off the line we were high on port. And so, yeah, let's enjoy the port lift while we've got it, and just fingers crossed that it'll come back our way. And I think, yeah, we felt like, even though we were on the right, we felt like the boats on the left did okay on the first beat. So the second beat we found ourselves on the left and we got past on the right. So
unpredictable. Are you gonna be back out here? Is this your only appearance, or will we see you next week?
I think if I make the team again next week, I'd like to come out again. And it's just fun to be out there on any boat, really. So.
Scotty Dixon, I've got a question here for you. You're normally providing all the coaching and tips whilst watching from Long Beach in California. How does it feel to actually be on there now? Do you think you've taken any of your own coaching advice that you've dished out over the last couple of seasons that we've seen online?
Of course not. Yeah, do as I say, not as I do. It's again with sprint racing. And I was having this discussion with Paul, it's so difficult to get in there and you're fighting tooth and nail for every little lane, but you still have to have your head out of the boat and be removed enough to see the chessboard changing by the second. And it's very difficult in these boats. For me, trimming main, big overlapping head sails, so you can't see the boats to leeward. You think you're on ley line, but you can't see the mark because tide's pushing you down. And so I think I tried very hard, Suellen, to follow my own advice tonight, which was take a breath, get your head out of the boat, look around. And I think between myself and Tim Snedden, I think we did a reasonable job of connecting the dots and tacking in the right spots. I didn't always go our way, but yeah, I'm always up for improvement, self-critique.
Awesome. Well, good job tonight. It was fun. It was fun to watch you guys. A little bit all over the place though. I
Yeah,
mean,
it was. You know, look, I think biggest thing to take away from the night was, as Scotty said, very shifty out there, very hard to call this race course. Breeze comes out of every direction in here. But, you know, look, another fun night on the race course with the Stewart 34s. Race 13, I think we're up to now. So the race 14 is next week. So we're slowly wrapping up the season. So, you know, look, I think next week we're going to see even more fighting between the Playboy, the Psyche, and the Prince Hal. But, you know, look, until then, I think it's time to wrap it up, and I think we should go and have a beer in the bar and catch up with this guy. So thanks to everyone for watching, and yeah, anything else to say?
Nah, time for a beer for everyone, I think. Cool, we'll see you guys next time.
Cheers.
Peace out.
Calm down before you stress up the groove.